Hi everyone, and welcome to the first episode of the Hongkongggag podcast. Today we have our special guest, Tsundere. Say hi, Tsundere.
Hello, everyone.
And later we'll be having our side guests, Celia and Lyrixel. So, our topic today is local culture. Tsundere, I just wanted to start off this topic by talking about just the local music scene here in Hong Kong, and what do you think is special about it?
Well, sure. And first of all, thanks for having me on. This was kind of impromptu, but I guess here we are. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I guess let's just talk about music in Hong Kong, and I suppose like what I think what makes it different, right? Or I don't know if you would agree with me on this one, but so since like we're predominantly talking about like Cantonese or Cantopop here, right? So like it really defined itself around like the mid 70s, and like before that, I think most songs were like Shanghainese singers. Like a lot of them came from Shanghai or like from mainland China, like after the Communist Party took over, right? And as well as because of the British influence, there was a lot of like English songs being seen as like I guess an upper class or like more educated sort of entertainment. And so I guess Cantonese pop really like it spread itself as a sort of like trying to speak to like a population that I guess found it hard or perhaps didn't identify with its own music. I don't know what you think about this take. You're muted.
Okay, I know, sorry. So I feel like that's very interesting with how both British and China influence Hong Kong's Cantopop scene. And I want to ask the question: do you think the industry has declined in the past few years?
I I don't want to say the past few, but I guess the past decade, yes, I would agree. Although I don't know about specifically the past few. Like I would say like a lot of people would say like maybe I sound like a boomer saying this, right? But like the golden age was like the 90s, or like the golden age was the 80s, blah blah blah, like whatever. Okay, like I think there is some, I guess, some merit to that statement, but I don't see myself like particularly fond of it. Like maybe it's like I'm not that old. Okay, I sound like a boomer. Okay, but I promise you I'm not. Like I don't know. Like it's I would say like each decade even, or like I don't even know if that's like a right way of analyzing it. Like I don't think there's a specific like golden age or anything like that. Or I guess you could say like I guess the mainstream like pop, like putting the pop in pop, right? Like that kind of music maybe, but like I don't think that's like the only I guess aspect of the Hong Kong music scene, right? I don't know what you think.
Okay. I just wanted to say, for modern Cantopop, I just want to ask, what do you think has changed the most since old Cantopop, like kind of like you mentioned the golden age being the 90s. What do you think has changed the most?
I think, well, okay, to be honest, I haven't listened to Cantopop for that long, like to be fair. Oh, I think someone came into chat. Like I think a lot of like I guess my understanding of it, like it's not great. So like it's if I say some really like wrong stuff, I guess some people are gonna like beat me up in the comments. But like I think specifically paying attention to I guess the indie scene, right? I guess two or one particular artist that stands out to me is Manitou Airport, and they sing in very colloquial terms. They don't, they're like I guess if you ask a person who doesn't speak Cantonese, they think it's absolute rubbish. Like honestly, like they okay,
Oh
honestly,
my.
singing is a little like out of tune. They sometimes they go offbeat, and it's not very well mixed, and the lyrics are kind of like what's going on. But like there's a bit of that's like there's like a homely feel to it, like and I think compared to like say I guess in the early 2000s, or like even I think early 2000s, like you have stuff like Joey Young and like all those guys, right? And like that's like the I guess more marketed or marketable music, right? And if you want to say that has gone through a decline, then I guess maybe it is a bit of a like maybe the 2010s, like early 2000s, mid 2000s. Like maybe that was like a small, I guess, dip. I don't see myself agreeing with that, although I can see why other people would say that. Like because it really started off with a lot of like ballads, right? Like love songs. And like I guess to a person who studies music, you might think, oh, Cantopop is just like a piano. There's always a guitar. There's always drums, and it's kind of like the same thing all over again. Like every song is kind of like the same. There's like a mold. It goes through like a factory process. It's like, oh, hey, there's nothing new. But like I guess maybe that's like what people would think about the, I guess, quote unquote more marketable type of Cantopop, right? But I don't think that's like the end or be all of it. Like what do you think?
I just feel like a lot of people have a negative perception of Cantopop. Not really negative, but a very stereotypical perception of Cantopop. Like a lot of people feel Cantopop as like Hong Kong in general. Everyone thinks everything from the 80s to the 90s, like films like A Better Tomorrow, and then games that are set in Hong Kong, like in 80s Hong Kong, it's that 80s vibe. I don't know. It's like sure you could say it was golden age, but like Hong Kong is much more than that,
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of which, our other guest, Lyrixel, has joined us, and I just want to connect this topic by asking her thoughts on LGBT Hong Kong singer Leslie Chang, I forgot, sorry, who sadly passed away in 2003. Lyrixel, have you heard of Leslie Chung, and what are your thoughts on him?
I'm not very familiar with, the Hong Kong Cantopop scene, but yes, I've definitely heard of him. I know that a lot of people like his songs. Personally, to me, I don't really listen to Cantopop. In the past I did, but that was like 10 years ago, not an exaggeration. So right now I can't say that I know a lot about Cantopop, and I definitely cannot say that I know a lot about Leslie, but yeah, I've definitely heard of him, and to me, I feel like a lot of people just dismiss, or a lot of people don't acknowledge his sexual orientation, and I feel like um, you can see it both ways because a lot of people definitely they really like his songs, they admire his songs, and they listen to him and listen to his great works no matter his sexual orientation. But also there's this aspect of it that people don't really talk about because it's still a taboo topic, and I feel like it should more or less be at least talked about or discussed. And yes, I agree with the fact that um, you should listen to someone, or you shouldn't just not listen to someone because of their sexual orientation. But I also feel like it's important to not dismiss their sexual orientation. Yeah.
Okay, that was very interesting because I actually thought that maybe Leslie had influenced LGBT, how most people in Hong Kong see it, LGBT community in Hong Kong, but from what I hear, it doesn't seem to be really the case. So I just wanted to just redirect this question back to Tsundere, and I just wanted to talk about. Hey, wait, sorry. I just wanted to redirect the question back to Tsundere, and I wanted to talk about. I just want to ask a question. What is your favorite song from all of Cantopop, just in general? I'm just curious.
Wait, you're asking me?
Yeah, sorry, I should have clarified.
It's a hard question, man. It's a hard question, man. Like, I think it goes through like stages, I suppose. And sorry, this is a really like shitty answer, I know. But like, I think to add on to the previous point about Leslie, I think another LGBT figure who has, I guess, more, I guess, connected with like the LGBT groups is Denise Ho, Ho Ansi. I think recently, right? I think she is probably the most well-known LGBT singer in Hong Kong. That is currently living. I think you might have to check that. But actually, the MV of about in one of her songs, I think it really like showcases the kind of cold attitude in Hong Kong towards the LGBT community. So basically, the song is called "Lo Si Loi Si," which I think is a pun on Rolls Royce, like the car. But it's a story
Yeah, I
about
think
like
it is.
two gay. Sorry.
Oh no, I was saying I think it is. Like I feel like it is a pun.
Yeah. So I think there are two. The story is about two characters. One is called Losi, and one is called Loisi, right? So like put them together, it's Rolls Royce. I don't know. Like maybe there's more symbolism. I don't know. I'm not listed in. But like so they're gay. Literally the first line says 勞斯和萊斯都是花樣的男子. So Rolls and Royce, I don't know, like how would you translate those names? I don't know. Like they're both. I think it means gay boys, but like they're boys, anyways, whatever. So the singer is gay. The lyric writer, Wyman Wang Weiman, is also gay, and the story is about two gay people. But I think in the first MV, the characters are a guy and a girl. So it caused a lot of backlash because it's like, dude, literally, this is the gay song, right? Like, how more gay can a song get? Like, literally, and like the directors just decided, screw it, we'll put in a guy and a girl. And that caused a lot of backlash. And I think the most recent version of the MV has a guy and a girl. Has two guys, I think. So maybe that's a win for the LGBT community. But I remember in the first place, like maybe it was a TVB MV. I'm not sure. They got a lot of backlash for that. So just wanted to point out that this point.
Well, that's very interesting, and I just wanted to recall. A few years ago, there was this backlash over an advert on the MTR. I think it was organized by Hong Kong National Airport, and it featured two gay men in suits. Lyrixel, have you seen this advert before, or have you at least heard of it?
Yeah, I've seen that ad, and I have researched a little, or I know a bit on the backlash and the concerns of different parties, and I feel like it just really it goes to show really just how conservative or how divided the Hong Kong citizens are on this topic, because for the older generation, a lot of them are very conservative, as we already know, and for the younger generation, we're also pretty divided actually, because even though some, like most, I would say like about 3/4 of us are pretty much very open-minded, or at least accepting, there's this 25% on Lyrixel. If you don't know, like that's just a website about like Hong Kong, and it's just like a discussion website thing, a forum.
It's like a Hong Kong Reddit, right?
Yeah, it's Hong Kong Reddit. And a lot of people on Lyrixel are, younger, or at least our generation, 80s, 90s, I would say like 90s and like 2000s, about like this age range. And a lot of them are still very conservative. And, well, okay, this is a bit off topic. All of them are Trump supporters. All of them are conservative on this issue. So I feel like, yeah, that just goes to show like how divided we are. And I feel like as much as the government should respect, or at least different corporations should respect different stakeholders, I feel like it's important to have representation, because it's good to educate younger people on this topic, and at least just tell them that it's normal. It's not something to look down upon. I feel like that's what Hong Kong people, or at least our generation, needs, because we don't have an education on this topic, or we don't really get educated about this, and we need the representation to tell the younger generation that this is okay, or at least you should accept this and not shun it like many other people do.
Yeah,
But I
to
was
add on.
well. Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
You can go
just to
ahead.
add on to that, not only we have to like educate the younger generation about uh LGBTQ, we also have to like make older generations understand what like um being LGBTQ is like, and how like you can't stereotype a boy and a girl dating together, and also you have to like your mind has to be more flexible about it, and like they have to realize that boys can date men too and women can date women too.
Yeah, I feel like that's something that's very conservative in Hong Kong media. And I just want to add on with my own experience that when I was young, I remember having to read this picture book, and it basically was kind of like transgender discrimination. Like boys have to be boys, girls have to be girls, and it was like super low key that I didn't realize until I thought about it a few years later. Like I remember just like lying on my bed, like reminiscing about the past, and I just remembered that I was like, oh fuck, it's homophobic, and I'm like, yep, yeah, because I was a part of my school's GSA, and I kind of learned a lot of LGBT rights from that. And it's quite sad that apart from maybe international schools, there aren't really many LGBT elements in the curriculum. And even if there are, it's most likely going to be discriminative in some way.
Yeah, I think it's also difficult, right? Because like while I agree, like it's imperative that we have to have more LGBT like awareness and education. Like it's also very difficult in terms of the language, because like when like a lot of I guess in colloquial Chinese or Cantonese, right? Like when we say like a couple, right? We might say like lam lo, like boy girl. Like that's the concept we have of a couple. And because it's so ingrained in the language, it's actually more, I would say it's more difficult than to persuade like an English speaker or whatever that like this LGBT thing is not like something new, right? It's been around for ages. And it's not like abnormal. It's just we as a society have made it such. And so because of this extra language barrier, like that's the one example I can think of, but like there's probably a lot more. Like it's very difficult to get, especially the older generation who've been using these words for like their entire lives, like to really think about this issue and go like, oh hey, maybe this concept, it's just a matter of language that I think of this concept this way. Like what do you guys think?
I feel like that is something I haven't really thought of it in this way. So, and I kind of agree. Like after listening, I feel like that is also a possibility. But uh, for me, because I'm more familiar with, the religious scene in Hong Kong, and I know that a lot of people, at least the older generations, are religious, and especially like Christian or Catholics. And I agree that um, international schools are pretty much the only place that the LGBT community is actually talked about, because my school does not have a GSA. I go to a local school, a local Catholic school actually. So my school definitely does not have a GSA, and you know, it there even is a point in this whole thing when I remember when I was in Form 2, the school had found some speaker that is in the Hong Kong Catholic Society, whatever. There's this Catholic organization in Hong Kong about marriage. They found the speaker to talk about LGBT
Sorry to interrupt,
topics.
but is it the one led by Joshua Wong's father? Or is it a different one? Just saying, it's like asking.
I don't know actually.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
remember. I don't remember. Yeah, and our school went as far as to talk about. I appreciate our school at least for finding someone to talk about this topic, to at least tell us that okay, this thing exists, but the stance that the speaker takes is questionable at best. Um, so yeah, I feel like religion is just another barrier because like the Bible, at least to me, religion changes along with societal values, and because homo at least homosexuality or um anything about the LGBT community is looked down upon in society, or in some places punishable by death, or in history still punishable by death. Religion changed along with that, because in the Bible, the verse about gay rights, no, not gay rights, the verse about like homosexuality, like man shall not lay with man, is actually man shall not lay with boy in Hebrew, which is literally referring to pedophilia and not homosexuality. So it just goes to show that either things get lost in translation, or it's just that religion changes along with societal values. So, and our, at least the job that the government has to do, or at least we have to do, is that we have to change these ingrained values that, you know, LGBTQ people exist. They've been here for ages, and they should not be wiped out.
I actually read somewhere that I know this has some historical truth, but how much I am not very sure, that ancient China was kind of cool about homosexuality, to put it in a weird way, kind of like, they were open about it, I'm trying to say, until the Qing dynasty. I just want to ask you guys, do you think something like this could lead to societal change in Hong Kong, in general Hong Kong, general Hong Kong opinions towards the LGBT community? Sorry, my words are sorry.
Yeah, I think actually a lot of ancient art depicts, I guess, high-ranking officials or even sometimes emperors in China and Japan performing, homosexual activity. And actually, what I think some of the pictures, I remember seeing one drawing where painting or artwork, I don't know, where like a heterosexual person has a facial expression of jealousy, or like the intended emotion is jealousy at homosexual partners. So I think it goes to show, like, it's not, that's just not like mm, let me rephrase this. Like a lot of times we look at like recent history and think, oh, that's what happened for, like, in the rest of history, right? But actually, if you look at the ancient Greeks, right, like they had like I forgot what this called. They have like a mentor and student kind of thing, where like they have to be like men, I think, and then they engage in like philosophical discussions. Like they act like as like a fatherly figure, like a mentor to the younger person, and they do this act where basically it's almost like sex, but they don't, to put it bluntly, don't put it in, like, but like the I guess the older person like still reaches the climax and whatever. Okay, it may be a bit too graphic, but like my point here is like, it's not, I guess people have the impression that what has been, like the status quo, and like they look at these LGBT people going like, you guys are trying to change the status quo, it's always been this way, let's make it this way. But actually it wasn't always this way, right? Like as we see, like those three examples, like human society has not always been about, screw y'all gay people, right? Like that's not what I guess the history shows us. And perhaps maybe as you guys mentioned, the Bible mistranslation thing, right? Like maybe it's an intentional mistranslation. Who knows? Like maybe it's because straight people wanted to uphold some kind of, I guess, pro-straight or like anti-gay like order, right? Because a lot of the time, people reading the Bible in those ages, like they didn't understand. Like they conceived of God through drawings and artworks. Like people didn't know Latin. Like they were like, Dixit Dominus something something. I don't know, man. Like I'll take your word for it. Like so that's how, like, a lot of the times the Bible was passed on in this kind of
like, sorry. I'm sorry. I know this is wonderful talk, but let's try to steer this conversation back to like Hong Kong LGBT culture and local culture. I just wanted to ask Celia about her thoughts on how to say this on how LGBT culture should be improved upon in Hong Kong schools, basically, like how it should be taught, essentially.
Yeah. So I was in a local, like a private English school I used to in primary, and like it's like very Christian, and all the teachers like teach us like, oh, you can't be gay, and like you have to date like males and stuff, because like it was a girls' school, and then like I think um like they never taught LGBTQ rights, and like they never realized how important it is to like understand what LGBTQ is like, and like the world is not always um like the world's not always straight, you could say.
Yeah, I think I get what you mean. I just want to ask Lyrixel what are her opinions on this topic. So, Lyrixel, would you care to join in?
Uh, Obviously, I feel like the most important aspect to it is education. Uh, because at least we should try to educate the younger generation, because it's easier to instill these values in the younger generation than the older generation. We don't, and I feel like it's hard for the older generation to support LGBT rights. At least they should uh, at least we should try to make them be accepting. Um, because right now in Hong Kong, I feel like I'm gonna focus on the youth education part. In Hong Kong, there isn't really a um, sex education curriculum. Mostly it's just about biological sex, like, oh, okay, males have a penis and females have a vagina. That's all they teach, and like contraceptive methods. But then, like, they completely miss out the aspect of, more human things like dating, or even like different sexual orientations. And I feel like an a well structured sex education curriculum is what Hong Kong needs, and it should include all of these things like love or dating, and even like LGBT rights or LGBT education. At least, like, they should be educated that this exists and this isn't weird or not normal. Uh, this is probably the most straightforward way, but again, it's also pretty hard for different schools in Hong Kong, especially for Christian and Catholic schools. The more traditional, like, single sex schools are mainly Christian and Catholic. The what is the like the Canossian missions girls' schools, for example, or as I know, like DGS, DBS, they're like all Christian or Catholic. So, for these traditional schools, I feel like um for local schools at least, if they don't take the lead, I don't think a lot of schools will follow. And the problem is that these schools are religious, and a lot of the teachers are very religious, because religious education is still mandatory in a lot of these schools. And really, their values contradict with, the LGBT rights or LGBT acceptance part of this whole thing, which is why I feel like it's still very difficult to implement it in an actual curriculum. But the fact that um, I'm not sure about other schools, but at least for my school, my school is a Catholic single sex school. So, like, for my school, at least, most people are very accepting of, at least most students are very accepting of the LGBT community, and uh, with exceptions, but um, my school is kind of gay. um, yeah, like, my school is kind of gay. There's a lot of dating, and so I feel like it really depends on. Apart from this, it also depends on like uh how students or how the younger generation approaches the topic on the internet, or because for me I learned everything through the internet. I learned about I wasn't even this was not something that was discussed in my household or at school. It was something I found out on the internet. So I feel like if we can transfer this to the school, at least the sex education curriculum, it would be good, or at least preferable, because obviously some students don't really go on the internet at that young of an age. And when they do start going to the internet, it's very unlikely that they will approach these topics because they were curious. So, yeah.
Yeah, so I found out about like lesbians and gay from my sister. Like there was this period of time that she was questioning um her own sexual orientation. And I also had this one friend in my primary school. She was Christian and bisexual. And her parents weren't really like accepting about her, like about that, and she was teased in school and stuff, and it was like really hard to see her go through all these things just because that she was bisexual in this Christian private school. And yeah, I think like private schools and local schools need like more education about gay rights and like how the modern world is currently.
Yeah, I feel like in Hong Kong, although a lot of people don't see it as very religious, I feel like that there's a bigger religious presence in Hong Kong, and it is, I don't know, it just kind of affected LGBT rights with how people are taught. And I don't know, because there's also this wave of Asian conservatism, which is coming along a lot of Asian countries, and I just feel like we aren't going to have, because the West is currently having a major, what I like to deem as an LGBT wave, if you get what I mean. Like people, like LGBT laws are being passed, and people are becoming more accepting of the LGBT community. And I feel like it's gonna take some time to come to Asia. It's kind of like the feminist waves, with how that, and waves of democracy, with how not all countries were equal in how those rights were obtained. And I feel like we need to take action to make sure that this LGBT wave comes to Asia faster, including Hong Kong, of course. So yeah, I just want to lead this back to local culture, since we started with Cantopop. I just want to lead it back to that. And as I was talking to Lyrixel about Leslie Chung, I wanted to ask you about Celia, about Leslie Chung. What do you think of him, and what do you think he means for LGBT in Hong Kong?
Uh, that's kind of an interesting question.
Sorry, I
Uh,
was talking to Celia. Sorry.
oh, sorry.
No, to be
Yeah, it's
honest,
fine.
I
It's
don't
fine. It's
really
fine.
know because I've never heard of that singer. I'm like
Sorry. Wait. Your microphone. Did it go off?
no.
Oh, okay.
Like I
Yeah,
I'm
that's a bit of an awkward
yeah,
question to
no.
ask.
Like
Yeah,
I don't really listen to like Cantonese songs like Cantopop.
yeah, me neither. But
Yeah.
I don't know, because my mom, like, she does listen to Leslie Chung songs, and I feel like I don't know. It's like he is quite iconic, and I remember how there's this tram in Hong Kong Island that has an advertisement that that goes something like Leslie Chung, our forever hero. I don't know what it's called, but he is still very prominent in Hong Kong culture, and I think that's how I really. No, actually, no, that's not how I. How I actually found out about Leslie was I hate to say this, but when I was a kid, I was browsing Wikipedia articles, and I first saw Leslie. I first, typed in Mandarin Hotel, just looking at different places, and then I saw this, Leslie Chung committed suicide. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that is kind of dark to find out about that. But let's be honest, that was kind of delved myself more into local culture in the past few years. It's kind of I don't know, not really making myself more of a Hong Konger, but just a genuine interest in Hong Kong, and I love Hong Kong. And yeah, I just wanted to put this conversation back into local culture. I just wanted to ask you guys, what do you think the best thing about Hong Kong's local culture, the best aspect of Hong Kong's local culture is? Yeah, I just wanted to ask you guys about what do you think is the best part of Hong Kong's local culture, basically?
Wait, sorry. Before we move on from Leslie Chung, can I just say something about Leslie?
Oh yeah,
so
sure.
sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I just want to recommend a movie which Leslie starred in. It's about LGBT. So it's called 霸王别姬. The English title is Farewell My Concubine.
Oh, I think I saw that.
Sorry?
I think I saw that. I'm not sure though. What's it about again? Just tell the audience.
So if I remember correctly, because it's been a while, it's about a small boy who goes to learn. I think it's opera, ancient opera. I don't remember what kind of opera. Let's treat it as Shanghai opera or something. I don't know. So basically, he has to act the part of the girl character because ancient China, sexism, women are not allowed to act. So men have to act the women's parts, and so he is to act the women's part. And throughout the story, it shows that he was like, oh, maybe I'm gay, haha. And so the story, I don't want to spoil it, but should I spoil it? But basically, we watched this in Chinese class, and my teacher pointed out a very interesting thing, that this story is very similar to the main character Leslie Zhang's actual life story. So I would recommend the movie. It's pretty good. It's about LGBT, so support LGBT by watching a good movie. Wow, two birds with one stone.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. So back to my question. I just wanted to ask Celia and Lyrixel, what are your favorite parts about Hong Kong's local culture? What do you like most about it? Just
I guess oh my god. The food. There's
that's funny.
different
Yeah.
There's different unique foods in that are from Hong Kong. And they're really good. I really like the egg tarts.
Lyrixel, what about you? What is your favorite part about Hong Kong culture?
I feel like for me, it's more of obviously the food is really good. I can't deny that. I would stuff myself with egg tarts for
obviously.
breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Yeah, duh. But also, just the culture and the environment actually that I grew up in. I feel like a lot of things different festivals or um in Hong Kong there are some unique ways or there are some unique things in Hong Kong that you don't really see overseas. I am a city girl to the bone. I like that Hong Kong is bustling, it's literally the city that never sleeps. I love that. And you don't really get that in that many places around the world. And that's probably my favorite place of Hong Kong. It's so fast paced and it's I'm someone that has no patience. So living in a place where you can't get like anything after 10 p.m., I'm gonna be so pissed. Seriously. So I feel like that's my favorite thing about Hong Kong, or at least that's something that I used to take for granted. And I really realized that, it's something that I grew up with, and it's become a part of me, I guess. I don't really know how to put this, but yeah.
I mean, I kind of lived my whole life in Hong Kong, and it's sort of like there's so much here that you could not literally cannot get anywhere else. Like I don't know another place in the world where you can just drive 50 minutes away from a city and then you're in a volcanic geopark. Like I'm like driving from Chung and to Cycle, and you're just surrounded by like nature. You can't believe that. Wow, so it's like I don't know. It's just like the way Hong Kong was developed with how it was a British colony and how its unique terrain kind of just developed the city that we all know and love. I just feel like it really does give us our separate identity from mainland China. So I really agree with you, Lyrixel. Like I am a storyteller, and I do this. I'm gonna confess this. I get nervous when there's literally no sound. Like I just don't know what to do. I remember just when I was a kid, I always imagined like when we went to somewhere exotic, like hotel. I always imagined there were like monsters creeping around, because in Hong Kong you have this like sense of security. I don't know. It's very weird to explain.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Let me add on to that. Yeah, I can understand why like you would think that something's wrong if Hong Kong's like suddenly so quiet. It's like someone's gonna kidnap you every moment.
I just feel like Hong Kong as a whole was. I don't know. It's just like it has developed so differently from other cities. In other cities, a lot of people are like, oh, I'm going over to the next city to like do this or do that. But like in Hong Kong, it's literally just one city with like surrounding new towns, and it's just so odd. Like a lot of people say Hong Kong's a lot like Singapore, and while I admit there are a lot of similarities, government, democracy, it's just Hong Kong and Singapore are so very different. Like I feel like Singapore follows a more American base, but Hong Kong is following its own. Like there is not, you can almost not compare. Like you can take part of it and compare it to other cities, but like as a whole, you cannot compare it to other cities. Like it is extremely unique.
Yeah, like especially there's like so many buildings in Hong Kong, and like the city's always running. It's like 24/7. It's never sleeping, just like you said. And like when you like, for example, if you go to the peak, you can see really nice views, and I just like obsessed with the sunset.
Wait, what are you saying? Wait, you said PQ what? Sorry, you cut out a little bit.
Like going to the peak, like it's like one of the landmarks in Hong Kong. It's like really pretty during sunset, and it's just like
Oh
I'm
yeah.
falling in love.
Yeah, for me, I feel like one of the best views in Hong Kong comes from this. I don't know, just like hiking on like this on the highway. One of my favorite highways in Hong Kong is the West County Highway, and it's like coming in from Tsingma Bridge and just going through that one tunnel, and just once you exit the tunnel, you just see like the Hong Kong urban area, and it's just so majestic. It's like this is Hong Kong feeling. Like I don't know. I feel like a lot of people, it's just like don't understand like Hong Kong is much more beyond the like crowded areas or like the rich areas. Like it's that and the hills, the public housing estates, like public housing purgatory, as like to call it. And the villages, the villages, the how to say this, the like areas like Discovery Bay, Psycho, where I mentioned in mind. Just what I'm trying to say is a lot of people out there just don't understand Hong Kong's like true potential. Like it's much more than just the urban areas, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, and like where in the world can you just like meet up for lunch and then go, hey, what do you want to do? Oh, let's go hike. Like it's I guess low cost. You don't really have to prepare that much. You're probably not going to die. You're probably not going to get injured, and it's like 10 minutes away from your house. So like that's pretty unique, right?
yeah, just I remember when I was sorry when I was in the Netherlands. Yeah, the Netherlands. I was staying at my mom's friend's house, and we were just one day we were going into the Hague, and it just felt so weird that you could be from one city to another, and it just felt like going from, let's say, Chunmoon to Changsha, like through the highways. It just feels like very weird. And I guess you could say the Netherlands is kind of like an exception given its size, but I don't know. It just feels like Hong Kong is just you could. It's just so hard to describe, but yet so easy to describe. If you get what I mean. Sorry, I'm just gonna bring up a point. So we're going to the last 10 minutes or so of this podcast. So I just wanted to round this up. I just want to ask you guys a question. What was it called? What is the Sorry, wait, never mind. I just wanted to open a topic. I'm so confused. Anyways, just wanted to talk about what's your favorite area in Hong Kong? Basically, what is your favorite place? What is what is your favorite place in Hong Kong? Like, you can name a reason, any reason. So, maybe it could be a home or whatever.
I don't know. Like it's hard because like it's so like cliche, right? But like every place has its own unique, I guess, identity. Even in some like a place as small as Hong Kong, right? Like actually, like I'm doing a I guess creative writing blog thing. Like every place I go, like I try and write down what's unique about this place, or like what I think of when I reach these places. Because like take for example, like I don't know, the Peak, right? Like we talked about the Peak just now. Like there are so many things that you can be thinking of at the Peak, or like each time you go to the Peak, like there's it's just like it's different every time. Like you go at midnight, scenery is different. You go at day, there's more people. The sounds are different, the scene is different. So like I don't know, it's a very hard question to answer. I guess all of it. Is that too cheesy? Sorry.
That is so not cheese. Like I get it. I get it. Celia, what about you?
Like currently, my favorite place is I don't know how to say this, but like there's this really small gray skate park in Kuntong, and there's like an ocean right next to it. I really love to sit in the on the grass and just look at the ocean while I get my bubble tea and just drink while enjoying the ocean alone, obviously, because like I really like alone time away from like all the drama and like studies and stress.
What about you,
Ooh,
Lyrixel?
this is a really hard question. Like, yeah, I feel like every part of Hong Kong is unique, but I don't like this is probably like a huge area. I can't really pinpoint my favorite part, but a lot of parts of this city really invokes the nostalgia. Uh, I feel like there's no favorite place for me, but there's a favorite time, and I like to be outside at night because it's the feeling is totally different. Not like outside, not in like central, the bustling city center. Outside, as in like it's that feeling when you're like on a bus or like on a taxi at night and you're like for me I don't know much about like Kowloon or like new territories because I have been on Hong Kong Island for like my whole life. So it's passing the it's when at least the bus or the taxi passes by Pok Flam, and or it goes into the Aberdeen Tunnel. That's when like it's that aesthetic. I don't know how to put it, like I don't really know how to put it. It's that feeling, or it's that feeling that really makes you feel like this is home, or this is probably the best time, the most enjoyable time because it's quiet. Uh, and for me, because I live on Hong Kong Island, I live in the Southern District, and my school is also in the Southern District. In the past, I used to live, near the mid levels, so just like that Pok Fu Lam to like Bonham Road, from Bonham Road to Southern District. That's where it really hits home for me. And yeah, that's probably my favorite place to be in when I'm at night and I'm on a bus, or when I'm traveling back home or traveling to school. Like that whole feeling is so different, and yeah, I just don't really know how to put it to words, but like I really like that feeling, and that's probably my favorite place to be at night. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it came from our like Hong Kong's like representation in films, both local and international, of Hong Kong at night. It's really magical. And if I had to say my favorite area in Hong Kong, well, it's kind of hard. I've been like as a kid, I was like traveling around Hong Kong, and like hikes always gave that chance. I have lived both in Kowloon and Hong Kong Island, but not in the new territories, weirdly enough. I just don't know. It just gives you a feeling that there's not really a place I would love. But if I had to name one, just one, I'm going to be honest here. It would probably. This is so hard to choose. It would probably be the airport, because it's. Don't know, when you land in there, it just feels like it gives you the sense of your home, and it's like even if you're leaving, it just feels like it's like it feels warm in a weird way, like it may be made of concrete and glass, and it feels like imposing, but it feels warm. Like, yep, it's my home. It's a modern city, and it's full of the flair. So yeah, and I feel like that's amazing to me. Just yeah, and I would like to thank you all for coming onto this podcast. This was the first episode, and I'm sorry to everyone who's watching or listening to this that I sound really awkward and I'm stammering a lot. I'm really sorry about that. I'm gonna try to like kind of mess it up a little bit next time. And I would like just to thank the guests from here. Thank you, Celia, Lyrixel, and Tsundere for coming along today.
Yeah, no problem. I'm probably like the most awkward person in this whole podcast, but it's fine. It's fine.
Yep. And so yeah, we are going to be ending right now. So I just want to say thank you to everyone for listening, and we hope to see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.
Wait,
Bye.